Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2067. It's a Zephy update. We haven't updated you guys for a while, so we figured it was time to give you guys an update. As you can see, she is sitting here quietly and enjoying her treats. This is her little treat jar we have to take with us everywhere because of her condition. Because of her condition with her insulin overload and everything else, we have to make sure that we keep her glucose level up. Blood glucose. There you go. You say hi to everybody? And you got your eyes on that jar all the way, haven't you? Mm-hmm. There we go. You can go sit down now. There you go. Oh, you want more? You gonna sit? Okay, so you get training treat first. And then we get a mini marshmallow. There you go. Good girl. All right. Yep. Hey, up on the chair. Go on the chair. Up. Up. Up, 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 up. Good girl. Lay down. Lay down. No, on the chair. On the chair. Good girl. Lay down. Lay down. You're not quite laying down, but that'll do. Okay, so I'm back. So, yes, this is her little treat jar. So in there she's got training treats and mini marshmallows. And so for those that don't know, she has been unofficially diagnosed with canine insulinoma, which means that she's got these little tumors that are on top of her pancreas that cause her pancreas to overproduce insulin whenever she gets excited, she gets anxious, she gets nervous, stressed, any of those things that start going high, even overstimulation of some sort, anything, it can cause her pancreas to overproduce insulin, which causes her blood sugar levels to drop, which means that she goes into seizures. We have stopped the seizures by putting her on to steroids, thank goodness, and they are still working, thank goodness. And she went and had an update with the vet today. Before we went, we had gone out for our walk. Or before we go for our walk each morning, she gets 4 of the training treats, 2 of the mini marshmallows, and then she gets these little, I should have brought them in here, these little tiny treats, which are they're actually, I'll show you, on her training treat. So this is her training treat. This is the mini marshmallow, and then between that size, there is a little treat. It's called a churu, C-H-U-R-U, and they are these little tiny treats that have this wrapping around it. In this case, the one's chicken, and there's a blue pack and a gold pack inside a box, and they come with 20 packs to a box, and in each pack is 12 of these little churu things, and they're all wrapped in chicken. And the middle one on the yellow pack is got chicken, some sort of chicken stuff in the middle there, and on the blue pack it has a cheese flavored one center, and they have soft center, so you can actually tuck take her tablets and just tuck them inside these things, and she loves them. So she gets 2 training treats, her churu, her mini marshmallow, then the 2 training treats, her other churu, and the marshmallow. And in the morning and in the evening, she gets one of each. She gets just one of the churu things. And so that's all she had to eat. And then, of course, when we go on the walk, we take this with us. And then sometimes about 3/4 of the way through the walk, we actually stop. She sits very nicely. She comes front very nicely and just sits there beautifully. And so she gets 2 training treats and 2 mini marshmallows, and we continue with the walk. That was all she had this morning before we left her to the vets. I did have her breakfast down. She didn't want to eat at that time, so I wasn't going to force her, although I would have rather she had eaten, because then we had the excitement of going in the car, and then we get to the vets, and we had to wait about 15 minutes while they opened up, because our appointment was for 8 o'clock, and they didn't actually open their doors till 8 o'clock. So, and there was already like 4 other dogs waiting to go in with us. So we were the second dogs to arrive, and then there was another 2 that arrived after us. And so, of course, then she realized where she was, so she got a little nervous about that. We go into the exam room, and she's all like nervous Nelly and everything else. They finally come in and then take her back, and I could hear her the entire time. She was literally crying as they did her blood work. The only thing they're doing on blood work is they're just doing a prick test to check her blood glucose levels. Now, and so I was kind of a little nervous about it, but poor Zephy. And so as soon as she came back into the room, I had my little container with her, so she got some treats and stuff, because I didn't want her blood sugar glucose level dropping to the point where she would end up seizing. Even on the steroids, it can happen. And so then the vet came in and said that her blood glucose levels was on the low side of normal. So I'm not, and I totally forgot to ask what the number was, because she says, last time you guys were in here, she was at 131, which was awesome. I said, yes, but by that stage she had eaten, she'd done this, da, 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 da. And so we figured the reason it was down on the low side was, one, she hadn't eaten, and two, with the stress and everything of being in the excitement of being in the car first is one thing that would have dropped her sugar levels down. Then having to wait around outside, because the vet actually showed up while we were waiting outside, and she couldn't get in. The person with the keys hadn't arrived yet. So there was a stress of waiting outside and then coming in, and the stress of going through the test and everything else. She says, we know that affects her blood sugar levels and can drop them. So she was taking all of that into account. And to her, that meant that the steroids were still working and doing their job. And I said, yeah, as soon as we get home, she'll probably go and eat her breakfast. But she'll wait for me to get my breakfast, and then she'll go eat hers. And so the vet's happy with everything that she saw. We go back in 2 weeks. We're half an hour later on our appointment, so maybe I can entice Zephy to eat in some way. Might like throw some crumbs or something into her bowl, or maybe I'll throw an egg in there or something like that, just to make sure that she eats before we go, so that it gives us a good reading on her levels. But so they refilled her prescription for her steroids. We're not touching, even though we had a low reading today, they're not touching the dosage because of everything that had happened that morning that would cause her blood sugar levels to drop. So we don't want to do that. But she says, keep an eye on her, see how she does. She says, watch for any signs that she may go into a seizure. Just watch for those. And they're the ones that told me to give her the mini marshmallows too, because I can hear some of you going, but it's like sugar. Yeah, there are times that we need to boost her sugar really fast to stop her seizing. So this is our way of doing it. She gets the training thing and the marshmallow. And here's the funny thing. So we're out for a walk, and if we go this way to come back, like if we go out and go, we always go to the right. If we go down to the park and we go left, then she knows when we get to a particular driveway, we're going to stop before we cross the road to come to the last pit home. She knows that where we stop for that. So what's really funny is that as soon as we get to the place because we're going to cross the road twice, there's one house where they park their car over the pavement every single time. They are actually really nice people, and they have this crazy dog, which I am terrified is going to jump over the wall one day. I'm on the side that's like 7 foot up to the top of the wall, and the dog's on the side where it's 6 foot to the top of the wall. And I think it might be like a golden doodle. It kind of looks like a golden doodle, so I'm not sure if it really is or not, but because we get to see its head. If the dog, this is so funny. I actually ran into one of the guys that's out walking around all the time that we've gotten to know quite well. And I was talking to him yesterday as this dog was doing this. And I said, that dog now has its front paws on top of the wall. When it first started bouncing up the wall there, and of course, where the corner of their wall is along the side, on the corner, so along the side where their wall is, right where the wall meets with the back wall for the next property is where the mailbox sits, and it's on their side of that back wall. So the dog can get in behind the tree that's in the corner there, and it jumps. So while you're getting mail, you see this head popping up over top of the fence. It's the craziest thing. And it's barking the whole time. It's barking the entire time and jumping. And at first you could just see just this, like the ears and the eyes. Now we're at the point where, and this started it's been going on for a few months now. But now we notice it's got the front paws on top of the wall. So it's figured out how to get the front paws on top of the wall. And I'm just waiting for the bit when it figures out how to get the back end to follow the front end onto the top of that wall and jump down. So whenever I hear those dogs out, we go across the road and walk the other side, unless we have to go and check the mail. Crazy dogs. But anyway, so we've got it because of the owners, how they park their cars, they just like roll on up, stop the car and get out. They don't even care that their back end is completely over the footpath. And so I don't like having to walk out on the road. I have to actually walk out on the road to get behind that, and especially with Zephy. So we walk down the opposite side of the road, and we get to this driveway, and then we stop there, and she sits front beautifully, waits for her treats, and then we can cross the road. And then that gives me enough time to figure out, are we going on this side of the road, or are we going to have to walk over this side of the road, depending on if this dog is out or not. And so she knows that's where we stop. So when we go to cross the road the first time from the park onto the street, to get to that point where she has her treats, she's like looking at me like, can I have it now? Can I? And she's got this look of great expectation, and she's trying to sniff my hand, and she walks at heel beautifully, doing exactly what she's supposed to do at heel, because she knows she's got treats coming up. And so she's looking at me with expectation on her face. I'm like, can I have my treats? Can we have them now? Are we going? Isn't it? This whole thing. And then she's trying to reach my hand to sniff it. So I have to drop my hand down so she can sniff that. I don't actually have her treats in my hand right now. I have her leash. But she is absolutely hilarious. And then on our evening walk, we go to the right when we get to the park, and there's a circuit that we do there, and we come back, and there's a lamppost, and there's a tree past the lamppost. Well, we get to that tree, and that's where we stop and have our treat. So she's walking along the other day there, and there's this woman that was walking along with us. She's one we see out quite often walking. Sometimes we just stop and chat with her, and we get to the tree, and Zephy just stops and sits. And everyone just looks at me, goes, what she's doing? And I look around and go, oh, she wants her treats. She goes, what do you mean she wants her? I said, when we get to this one, she gets her treats to help keep her blood glucose levels up. And my dog knows her spots, but she is looking to see if she can get them beforehand. So we always carry this with us when we're out in the car. It's with us. She sometimes gets some while we're out driving and stuff, just to help keep the blood sugar levels up and all that sort of thing. So that's the latest update on Zephy. So she's doing well. As far as traveling to New Zealand goes, we've got to check. We need to make sure that her blood glucose are okay, that we can stabilize those. So we've got another appointment in 2 weeks, and I totally forgot to make the appointment for the one after that while we were at the vets today, because that would have been the easiest time to do it. But so we've got an appointment in 2 weeks. Then, oh, that's on the same day as that. Crap. So we've got an appointment in 2 weeks, and then I've got to make an appointment for 2 weeks after that as well, which will be when she needs to get a refill on her meds. So she gets it every month. So that's our Zephy update. She's doing well. She's looking at the vet was very, very happy with how she was, as far as everything else goes health-wise with Zephy. Everything is looking really good. She said her coat's looking good. Her teeth are looking good. We know she has a broken tooth up there, up here. One of her back molars is broken, and it goes below the gum line. But she said her teeth are looking great. She says even the broken tooth. She said that's looking really good too. And so she said we'll just keep an eye on that. She says obviously not causing her any discomfort or anything. And it doesn't. Zephy gets out her harder toys, and she'll chew on this side, which is where the broken tooth is, and she'll chew on this side, and it doesn't bother her. So I'm like, as long as it's clean, as long as it looks good, and we keep it clean, and that's what the vet said. She says you're doing whatever you're doing is doing right. So keep cleaning as you can. She says as soon as it starts looking like, she says the gum around it looks perfectly fine. So it doesn't even look like it's bothering her in any way. There's no infection in there. So she says keep doing what you're doing. And we'll just keep an eye on that. And if it should start showing any sign of an infection, then we're in, and she's getting that tooth out. So, yeah. So otherwise, everything else looks really, really good. We've just got to stabilize her blood glucose. And with her, when she travels to New Zealand, she is going to be in a crate for a minimum of 15 hours, maybe longer. And then she'll be in the air about 13 hours. So at what point they put the live animals into the cargo hold area that's pressurized in that before the plane takes off, I don't know. So I don't know how long she's going to be sitting in the cargo hold before the plane takes off, and then how long she's going to be in the cargo hold at the end when she gets to New Zealand, before she goes through customs and gets handed over to the quarantine people. So I'm not sure what that time span is with her going onto the aircraft and being offloaded at the other end, but I know the flight's going to be 13 hours. And her steroids is actually a 24-hour medication, but she currently gets it once every 12 hours. So we've got to try and get her. Yeah, so she is going to miss a dose when she is traveling, but the idea is to give her the doses as close to her flight as possible, and then she gets the other dose as soon as she gets to New Zealand. So it's a little touch and go on that. At least the medication doesn't make her drowsy, because the airline will not allow any animals to fly that are under any sort of drugs that make them drowsy. Yes, so there's no giving them like stuff to calm them down or anything like that. They are to be completely aware and awake and everything else. But so this one kind of calms her down, makes her less anxious. So hopefully they'll let her fly on that. But that's where we're at the moment. So we don't have clearance to travel yet, because we're worried about the blood glucose. And of course, I don't know when she eats before she gets on the plane and how long it is till she eats when she gets off the plane. So there's all of that. So there's this time gap of like, when is she going to get her last dose of medication? When is she going to get her last chance to eat? And then at the other end, how soon is she going to get her medication? How soon is she going to get to eat? So that's our unknown quantities at this time, because we need to take those into account as well. But my prayer for Zephy right now is that, because they say the lifespan with this condition is only up to a year, whether or not you have the tumors removed. Well, first of all, they've got to find them because she said they're really tiny and they have to actually palpitate the pancreas. Well, to me, palpitating the pancreas would be putting it under stress, which would then mean the tumors would then kick in and flood her system with insulin while she's under. So I'm just sort of like that's one reason why I have chosen, I am not going to put her through any trauma. It's going to be a case of quality over quantity. As much as I would love to have her around for the next 5 years, she just turned 6. And so based on how her condition goes, if she's and my prayer for her is that if she's not going to come to New Zealand with me, if she's unable to travel to New Zealand with me, then I want her to go quick. I don't want to have to rehome her because that's just going to be a complete stress level that she doesn't need, and a lot of trauma for both of us on that case. You know, the fact knowing that she's here in the States running around and wondering where I am and that sort of stuff. So my prayer for her is that if she's not coming to New Zealand with me, that she goes quick, that her condition deteriorates far enough that we then have to choose quality over quantity type of thing. Or that if she is coming to New Zealand with me, then everything's going to start improving. Everything's going to start looking really good. And she'll have and once I get that sense that she is coming to New Zealand with me and there's absolutely no question about it, I know she's going to handle the flight perfectly and that she's going to come to New Zealand. And my prayer is that she has another 3 to 5 years with us, that she outlives this condition that they tell us that she has, and that she does the flight like a champ, comes through it like a champ, goes through quarantine like a champ, and we get reunited in New Zealand and we go to have a really good, fun time down there exploring New Zealand and that sort of thing as well. So those are my prayers at the moment for Zephy, is that her condition improves enough that she can come to New Zealand with us and has a really good life down there with us. And if she can't come with us, that her condition deteriorates enough that she goes quickly. I don't want her to suffer. I don't want her in any pain. I hate giving her medication. I really do. But, you know, right now that's keeping her calm. It's stopping her having the seizure. And watching her go through the seizures is, it's not nice watching her go through seizures. And if you've ever had a pet go through seizures, you know exactly how we feel about that. Bear used to have seizures as well. He was never actually put on any anti-seizure medication because he didn't have them often enough. But we used to just, as soon as we realized he was having one, both Brad and I were on the floor there with him and just holding him and just holding him gently, just talking to him the entire time, which is what I do with Zephy. When she was having the seizure, I got to learn very quickly what the signs were that one was about to start. And I actually have this place set up in the family room there on the floor in front of the TV where she would lay. Her mat's there and it's got a bit of padding underneath it now. And then I've got cushions on the top and down the side here. So I could lay on the cushions and I'd have the TV remote there, would put the TV on or put some program on, which was just a nice soothing program, nothing with a lot of loud noises or anything else. And we would just lay there and I would spoon up behind her and we would just lay there for like a couple of hours until she started coming out of things. And when she started coming out, she would be trying to get up and I'll just keep her down for a little bit longer. And I would have little bits of food with me and I would see if she would eat. And she'd lay there and eat them. And then I'd allow her to get up and then she would go wandering around, a little unsteady, but she'd wander around. And then the first thing she'd do is she'd go and get something to drink. So, yeah, I don't want to have to go back to watching those seizures again. But laying on the floor with her for a couple of hours and just having the TV just blurbing on in the background with no loud noises or anything else, which means I couldn't watch any action stuff. That was a good time for rom-coms. I didn't even watch, and she's a James Bond fan dog too, so maybe we could have watched some James Bond fan, but I didn't want to have anything going over a couple of hours, so I was looking for the 90-minute to the almost 2-hour mark when I was looking for stuff for us to watch. Most James Bond go over 2 hours, so Anyway, but that's where Zephy's at right now. She is. Zephy, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You need up on the chair. Go up on the chair. Hey, up on the chair. Come on. Treat time. Up on the chair. Oh, you want to do that? Come on. Up. Good girl. Did you do that so everybody could see? Oh, you're cheating now by putting your feet on the arms. Good girl. There's a treat. I'm having it, and then I'm done. Good girl. So that's our latest update on Zephy. So she's in really good health and doing really, really well. And the vet was very, very happy with how she's doing. So it's just that blood sugar level thing that we've got to watch. Blood glucose. So yeah, if she gets too much insulin in her system, she goes hypoglycemic. And the lower the number goes, the more likelihood that we're going to get seizures. And seizures can, depending on how severe they are, cause death. But currently, when she did have her seizures before we put her on the meds, her seizure wasn't lasting any more than 2 minutes, which is perfectly fine. It's called a mini seizure. If it goes 5 minutes or longer, then we're in trouble. But and the actual seizure itself, we're not talking about the lead up time to the seizure but after the seizure, how long it takes her to come out of it. But the actual seizure itself, that's what we have to time. So we're around the 90-second mark. We had one that went for 2 minutes when she was having them before we put her on the meds. So she hasn't had any since we put her on the meds. So that's all good stuff. And she's back on her regular food, not the food that she would get when she was in New Zealand, because she gets really, really hungry on that one. And it's mainly carbs. The first 3 ingredients are some sort of carbs, some sort of chicken byproduct, and grain and gluten are in the first 3 products. And she's never had anything with grain or gluten in her life, because up until that point when we started putting her on that stuff, because the food we had beforehand was it Blue Buffalo limited basic ingredients or limited ingredients? It's a higher protein one with no grain and no gluten and no byproducts, which is awesome. So that's the food that she'd been on for 5 years. And when we put on this other one, really, really stinky farts. The vet says, how's she doing at home? I says, well, I've got her back on. I said I had to give her the Royal Canin because I ran out of the other one. I didn't have time to go to the store to pick up her regular food, but I still had some of the other stuff left. And I says, I totally understand now why I have to put her back onto her old food, is because the farts on this new stuff, on the Royal Canin thing, are potent. I said, they will wake me up in the middle of the night out of a dead sleep. And she's like, really? I says, yeah, you can't breathe because Zephy's facing the wrong way. And I said, and she's also learned too that fans are really good. So if she lays in front of the fan, she puts her head in front of the fan. We've got one in the family room that's on by her mat where she lays down. And she lays there facing the fan. So when she farts, it blows it back to where I am sitting. And the vet just cracked up laughing about the fact that Zephy was smart enough to figure this out to start with. And when I tell her about her farts and all that, she just puts her head up, sniffs the air, looks at me like I'm crazy, and puts her head back down and goes back to sleep. So we have some fun times with her as well. But I said, apart from that, on the old food, she's been doing really well. She's sleeping really good, not getting up as many times during the night. I said, because sometimes she gets me up like twice during the night, once to get back, put the light on so she can find her way back onto the bed because her night vision's gone with the steroids. And I said, the other reason that she'll wake me up in the middle of the night is to go out. And I said, there's on her regular food, she may wake me once during the middle of the night. But apart from, and I now don't have to, this is the other cool part, is I now don't have to get up to turn the main light on for her to get on the bed. Because I was sitting there the other day in the bedroom, I was looking around and I was like, how can I help her get up in the middle of the night without her having to wake me? And I have an armchair in the room. And so I moved the armchair over on her side of the bed and pushed it up against the bed. So there's no way she can slip down between the mattress and the arm. So now she jumps up onto the seat and then steps up on the armrest and steps up onto the bed. And she loves it. And it took me 4 training treats to get her to do it. That's all it took. I said to her, I says, up here. And so she got up there and I put her onto the bed. And as soon as she got on the bed, it's like, good girl, gave her a treat. And she jumps down again. And then we repeated it 4 times. And now when we go to get up, go to get on the bed at night, and I just have the bedside lamp on, she will run around to the far side of the bed and jump up on the chair, onto the armrest, onto the bed. So she's got that one down pat now. And so in the middle of the night, if she wants to get back up on the bed, she still has to wake me up, but I can reach over, hit the bedside lamp. She gets on the bed, I turn it off, and we go back to sleep. It's just that simple. But I said to the doctor, I said, she's not, the vet, I said to her, she's not as hungry as she was, because on this one it's more high protein. It stays in her system longer. I said the other one, she was constantly eating, and even after she'd had 3 meals, because she's allowed 3 cups a day. So I gave her a cup breakfast, cup for lunch, cup for dinner. And then there's a couple of times in the morning that she will get treats, and one in the afternoon where she gets treats as well. So yeah, she gets 6 meals a day, this dog. Well, 5 meals, 6, because she also gets treats at the end of the day after we've been for a walk as well. So she gets 3 meals and 3 snacks throughout the day. That's what she gets. So that's our update. We're out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. And how are your fur babies doing? Let us know in the comments below. Post pictures of your fur babies in the comments. We'd love to see them. And we are going to go for our evening stroll now. I don't even know what the temperature is. I think it's in the 20s Celsius. Let's have a look-see. Oh, yes. It is 25 degrees Celsius outside, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Yeah. We're out of here. Go out and have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konara.